Could you? Hello. These are things I read last night au Chat Noir, but since there's no crossover, I'll read them again. The theme was shock last night. Yeah, a quote from Mary Renault. There is only one kind of shock worse than the totally unexpected, the expected for which one has refused to prepare. This is called the major lift and the minor fall. You do as you're told, or you're bent the other way, and all that follows is what followers call their fate. The laughing moon is laughing at the thought of release. The pampered child struck down to low esteem in school, who's beaten and abused, to whom those beaten and abused, to whom those words forbidden, the ones brought up to love rewards of rancor feeding spite, will tread the path till life's left hook then turns the road around, and they'll walk the other line, forced to obey or to rebel. The mice and the assholes have never been free. They're the slaves of the world and the family tree. And then their hatred of these branching moments that made us, made timber, makes all of our lives. If it could all be reduced to a surface, no fractals, held in hand, if we could ever be the masters of our fate and captains of ourselves, then maybe glee would come out of a moral kind or an evil deed, instead of a prideful lift with the dusted on sadness we'd hide. But sometimes late in life or early on, a shock will come, a heart attack, a betrayal, a death, a trivial loss, a holocaust, much like the one the world is planning now. And we can find the freedom to obey imperatives of life and leave the dream or nightmare that we entered into young. Don't be sad, don't be angry, just coat this thought with sugar. Okay, another quote, this time from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And it's stupid and mortal, and no one will explain to me why. How life enhances entertainment. When you're coming home, son, my mother said. Last thing she said to me, I'm not sure. In the future, it will still hurt, but it will hurt different. At first, a cry of shock, of pain, of disbelief. Drop everything and run to help, to share the burden, something never felt before, something hard and leaden, hidden in the hardening of face and mind. I thought myself soft and thought I needed hardening, but didn't realize how hard the self-absorption was. She never saw my children. She would have loved them so and helped me step around mistakes I made, become a better guide, a better model than I was, in spite, perhaps because, of errors that they made themselves. I weep for my parents' death. It shows I'm real. It makes me realer than when adolescent I was cool and wise, caught up in proof and scores and bettering the better. And when you have your own to love and guide, the time will go so fast that flashbacks then will spread in later life at every moment, looking back to when. And more, I can no longer see a child be hurt and rest unmoved, no longer turn away from grief, not feeling, not of a piece. And at my own death, will I lose all fear of ghosts? The loss of childhood and of childhoods piled one upon another feels like the little dreams we have when nodding off into a fleeting world between the hard, the nebulous, the mystic. And every moment's tied to other moments, other songs, and stories kept in ghostly whispers aimed at causing sham emotions that all bring the touch, now real, as if within a book. And one more with another quote from Nicholas Schreck. And eventually, Charles Manson testified to an empty court as Bugliosi had convinced the presiding judge Older that Manson's hypnotic powers might convince the jury he was innocent. Love as a motto. The state of war was always there, at least we knew, and with it, just as now, the heavy past, a leaden sky. But it hung over party time, enlightenment and love, our nature, our quest, and our justification, it seemed. Small lives made large in a greater theater of mind, and that love so one-dimensional, offhand, and cool was not the presence of God, but rather ours and thin. For this I feel much calmer now and closer to a warmth, a warm regret for chances lost and never seen, just been. The tenderness life's missing now was missing then, but then unknown and thus invisible, a nothing thing. It was as if enameled like a fashion model hippie chick. Perhaps my own ungainly, wavering, standalone line was what kept what should be soft so plastic hard. To go back, soften the air or the touch in reverie will not repay the sense of loss, the decaying root, the foundation's weakened support and shrunken depth. But the tang that caught the eye and ear and tongue was enough for the passengers riding the history train. But the lost nostalgia for the poetry not then lived has still a compensation in the softening mistakes will bring. Thank you.
Thank you kindly, Bill. It's great that you read to us things that you read at Au Chat Noir since we couldn't be there. And I loved seeing like the flip side of your paper with the major lift and the minor fall. And you played with the Leonard Cohen there. Brilliant stuff. I love especially now invisible, a nothing thing. Holy word of God. That's amazing. A nothing thing, a greater theater of mind. How amazing. And those fleeting dreams while nodding off, as you mentioned. That's how I get all of my dream lines. And I just keep up. And I got yesterday I got 29 different micro poems, continually falling asleep and waking up with a line, and I'm very grateful for that. But yes, those fleeting dreams, the moments between waking and sleeping, uh, powerful stuff happens in the nimbic region, the liminal lines. All right. Thanks a
Thank
million, Bill.